Hey guys, welcome back to the Lotus SMP. Or is it? I'm on my creative world where I've built all my stuff for for both seasons of Lotus actually. We'll be back here momentarily, but as you may have seen a hint of in the intro there, I've finished the roads in my base for the time being. So let's start with that. Yeah, we'll have a look at it up close when it's done. Okay, all done, kind of, for the most part. Yeah, it's changed a little bit, I think, since the time lapse. We've got these little light pylon things dotted around through kind of the whole length of the path, the road. There's something I teased on stream. I wanted to do these. I've said that because these are the kind of the light / shield emitter things that I had in down south. All the way down here somewhere. I can never quite find it. Oh, here we go. Got all these little copper rods around here. It's meant to be like a shield thing protecting this little outpost. Got the same thing here. So when I get around to actually putting some sort of vegetation and stuff around here, it should not quite make it right onto the road. It should get stopped right here. The grass and stuff, however, maybe that's grown in the middle separately from whatever vehicles or just people tracking stuff into this area, and it's been left over time to get all overgrown like this. If we follow this along a bit, the thing that I teased on stream was that I had an idea for something I could do with this to make it a bit more interesting, and that is this over here. I've got one that's broken, right? This place has been abandoned for so long, everything's kind of falling apart, it's all overgrown. We've got some of these that have just stopped working. So I think if I turn this on. Oh yeah, okay. Some places where I've done this, I think, maybe I've got a pylon on the other side that still works, maybe. But I'm also leaving this to be kind of accounted for by maybe some of the trees that I want to do. Because I want to do custom trees around here, and I want to do glowberries. And that'll be sort of natural lighting to also light up the area. This bit over here, I've smoothed out all the terrain a little bit. I've preserved this. This is an early season memory, and I've still got all my bottles down here for a mud farm. Still haven't relocated that in the base somewhere. Then over here, oh, we've got the broken thing. I've tried to put this as well where I did bigger patches of like the road being encroached on by the grass. So it makes sense that, oh, the shielding's broken here, so more of this has been able to happen. Over here, and along here actually, I want to cut out this bit and do like a retaining wall here. And similarly over here, I don't want to do too much reshaping of the terrain. I also want to cut into it. So we'll have some walls here as well at some point. I just need to figure out what that's going to look like. And some of these haven't changed colour yet, so I need to spend some time over here. Maybe when I come and build these walls, these will change. Another broken one here. And I've tried to space these out evenly. Gets a bit janky on the corners, but I think it's turned out okay. Then the other thing I need to do is I need to not necessarily join up the road here to the bridge. The bridge has already fallen apart, right? I also don't want to like redo all this terrain to make it so that the bridge joins the ground. I think I want to bring the road up maybe to about here and have more of those walls. So I need to figure out the walls quite importantly that I figure out the walls. Build it up so that the road would have meshed with the bridge, kind of how I've got, if I just zip over here, kind of how I've got this bit kind of transitioning there. But it will have caved in. Maybe we'll figure out some reason for that. But I think that'd be a nice little feature. Yeah, that's what we've been doing on stream past couple of weeks. There's one more thing that I've done on the server that I would like to show you, but let me just quickly go to sleep. Okay, we're heading to Maddie's base because last week she asked me if I could do some arm stand stuff in her base. So, in fact, after our last Lotus meeting, I did come over here. I joked about putting a big kaiju monster in her city. And it's me and my Halloween skin that Fozy made, where I'm a Charizard. And now there's the superhero squad that's turned up to take me on. Maddie up here. That's not what I did at her request. Maddie, in her last video, which you should go watch, you should absolutely go watch, she built the skate park over here, and she needed some armor stand guys doing skateboard stuff. So, blast from the past. There's my skin from last season, and there's a little skateboard. I'm doing some sort of trick. And then here's me this season, and I'm filming. Made a little camera and everything. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't realize this at the time. But if you look from this perspective, the spaceship is in the background, which is pretty cool. That was completely by accident. And then we've got Morg as well on a skateboard. Doing, I don't know, just checking out what's going on here. Maddie's done some other stuff as well. Spraying graffiti over here. But the other thing she asked me to do was a dog in the fountain. Against the wishes of Fizzy in this instance. So I made a pug. I did make a pug last season for Secret Santa. For actual pug. And I built another one this season. So maybe it's going to be a season tradition that I build a pug at some point. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Go check out Maddie's episode. it's pretty cool. She builds all this stuff. Okay, as I head back to my base, before we get on to today's build, I got a comment last episode from Ernie77 asking about a build tutorial for this. Kind of not possible, really. The build, I'm sure you can. I'll probably release it at some point. Like I've just released my last season base. Go check out my last video. Not my last Lotus episode, my last video. If you want details on that. Failing that, this will probably be in the world download, whenever that happens at the end of the season. So I figured I can't really do a build tutorial on this. I can show you my build process. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to hop over into my creative world, and I'll talk a bit about how I came about kind of executing this idea. Okay, we're back in my creative world. Here is, I guess, the first stage of the main base build. I guess actually the first stage is I did Google image searches, I went on Pinterest, found a bunch of images that I liked the idea of being kind of part of the build, some stuff that was inspiration for the build, and I kind of stitched them all together. And this is me trying to get the scale right, get the shapes of the builds worked out. This does change as I actually develop the actual shapes of stuff. Like some bits like up here, I just ballparked the scale of the thing. Actually, where it wasn't obvious how it should look, I did the kind of golden ratio thing. I did a bit of maths to kind of figure out proportions here. Maybe that's screwed up when I added extra stuff onto here, but I meant well at the start. So, yeah, that's what I did to start with. We got the wireframe wool thing kind of worked out. Then I filled in everything with the base material. I mean, speaks for itself, right? I did no texturing. I was just like, this bit's going to be concrete, so let's fill it in with concrete. I need something white that slabs and stairs, so just put quartz in here. All the copper is just waxed regular copper, and so on. I also did this tiny little bit of overgrowth. So I had some ideas of where I might want to put it, and so on and so forth, right? So once I had all this in place, I came up with some gradients. So this isn't how this ended up in the end, but this is how I kind of figured it out at the start. I think I even did all this. If we zip over here, these are the colors I wanted to work with before I even looked at any reference images, I think. So I set out this stuff right at the beginning and thought, if these are the colors I'm going to use, maybe these are the gradients I'm going to use. In my head, I wanted my walls to be 3 layers thick, but that would have just made the build way too big, and I just didn't want to do that to myself. But there would have been the white concrete on the outside, sort of the metal bracing in between, and then it would be so that the white was like cladding on the outside, and then there would be this kind of stuff inside. Anyway, this gets refined. I think for the most part, this is right. This is how it kind of ended up. I didn't use either of these deep slates. I didn't use these for the kind of inner wall stuff. I did use tuff, polished tuff. I didn't use this. We got these 3 blocks, and then for the main build, these I didn't use. We just go from here to cobblestone. Then we go into diorite, and then we got this. And then I wanted to do this thing, which I didn't do on the main base, but I did do on the power station. This is like the base material, right? Then we've got this, which kind of gets more dirty and then gets mossy as it goes this way in the gradient. And then if we go this way though, This was the gradient for where it gets dirty. And then I had two versions of kind of dirty, which didn't, it gets stained. Not dirty. Dirty was this way. Stained is this way. So if we just, let me use Axiom to zip over here real quick. Speed. Same process, right, with the power station. On this side is where it gets dirty, and there's more moss and stuff over here. On this side, though, it's closer to this generator thing, whatever this is meant to be, this sort of radioactive thing. So there's less moss around on the kind of the bit that's exposed. On this side it gets mossy, but it's shielded here. So I don't know. I just have this instead, this gradient. Bit of variation. I need to bring this back. I need to do this more. Maybe if I add any more builds. I've got it on this side as well. But on this side it's this one. I need to do that more if I do any more builds. Also Axiom, my god, this saved me so much time using the saved hotbars. Oh my god. This is the gradient for the back. I didn't use this bit, this was separate, but from here I used all these colors on this stone section at the back. The reference image I used for this, it was all kind of stony concrete sort of thing. So yeah, that's what that was. Anyway, we get onto the final build. This took a very long time. I feel like maybe I've over detailed it because I don't know, there's just the same level of texturing across the whole thing where maybe it didn't need to be. Here's my checklist of stuff to make sure I kind of covered every bit that I thought I needed to. Here's a reminder for me to try and put shelves in somewhere. I think the only place, because basically I started this whole process before shelves were even announced. So there's some shelves and there's some shelves. I think that's the only bit. Anyway, how did I go from here to here? Well, part of it was the reference images giving me ideas. Majority of it was how do I kind of apply some logic? I'll come up with some rules and just follow them, right? So one of the things I always try and do is if I've got a building that's going to be kind of old and weathered and stuff, one of the things I'll do is any kind of point where there's a crevice or a corner and it's touching grass, I'll make that a bit mossy and I'll put some grass in there. Right? So that's everywhere here. It's mossy in the corner. Right? That's everywhere. Similarly, if there's a flat bit with a corner, maybe where water would collect, or it wouldn't dry, like underneath this thing, this platform, few corners, it's mossy and there's grass growing and whatever, and it's weathered, right? Another thing is when I've got weathering in one material, I mirror it in the adjacent materials. So the copper is particularly weathered here, right, next to the mossy bit, but further away, it kind of keeps its color. This is where it's all mossy on this side, mossy on the floor, so more bluish green down here. On this side, not so much. Where's the other thing I'm thinking of? Water collecting up here, right? But as we get higher, it doesn't. It's maybe it's too cold up here, so the moss doesn't grow. But maybe just a little bit. Bits where the water might run down the building and collect at the bottom, but not be able to drip off. Maybe it gets mossy there as well. All that sort of stuff. Let's see, what other examples do I have? Oh, one of the things that's just really... Oh, there's more shelves here. Go me. One of the other things is... Maybe it's a bit non-vanilla, but it's from Vanilla Tweaks. It's the overhanging moss carpet. That's just... It's so good. It adds like this. It adds an extra block to your palette, right? This is cracked stone bricks. There's no mossy cracked stone bricks, but now we do kind of have it. I even did tiny little variations where it's like, I've got a mossy block already. Do I need to put more overhanging moss on it? Let's put green on there instead, green carpet. And then this is another thing I did. Let's look at it over here, which I think it looks better. Is the iron bars paired up with the first stage of weathered copper bars. It looks like rust. So we've got rusty iron railings around the platform. So everything that I did, every base block that I had on this side, I came up with at least one other block that kind of pairs with it that I could use as a weathered version of it. Another instance of the carpets being used a lot. I didn't want to do too much glow lichen all over the place. So some of the bits where I needed to kind of make it spawn proof. Got the overhanging pale moss carpet up here. That's so subtle, right? It's so subtle, but it all blends in really nicely. Okay, so that's kind of the methodology, right? Is figure out where weathering would happen, maybe just come up with some bits where maybe there's some unexpected damage, so I've had to board it up, that sort of thing, and just apply those rules of thumb to your build. Let's put it into practice so we can kind of see how I've gone about this in real time. So I just mocked up some random shaped building here just so we can put it into practice. Now, I will say part of what I think makes it work over here is that the building's really big. And we might talk about this in a little while after today's build, but sometimes this doesn't work, or you've got to use it sparingly on a smaller scale build. So first things first, let's go in with moss. Oops, moss. There we go. Yeah, these are just all the gradients that I did actually end up using. So I fixed this one. Yeah, there we go. So the bits where it's going to be most mossy, I think on this build, the most obvious one is right in this corner in here. There's no escape for the water here. If water was to pool on, if it's raining, the water pooled on this surface, I feel like if it got into this corner, there's just nowhere for it to go. Now, I also, on a build this big, I wouldn't overdo it with the moss, because, as we'll see when I work through the gradient, we don't have that much space. So, in fact, can I still have it, right? I still have my, here we go, the full gradient still loaded up. Right, I'm using Axiom, so I can just replace block like this. So I follow the gradient out. Anywhere moss is touching has to be a mossy cobblestone, and then similarly, we follow this out. We have to be careful with this now, so I'll come back to there. But here we've got this, and something I liked to do is figure out where this hard shaded edge is on the polished diorite, and only use it where it kind of goes into a corner. In fact, not like this, actually. Hold on. I would like to use it in place of diorite. because then the edge kind of just, it's only 1 pixel, but it extends this block out and kind of, it works like a blending thing, right? So I would do it like that. Maybe that's it. And then I think maybe you have to be careful with the rotation of your build. If you do like a schematic of this now and then bring it into your survival world or whatever, I think the rotation, because now if I'm doing this, the edge stays the same, but if I'm building it facing this way, the effect is lost, which I think may have happened in a couple of places. Then we've got calcite. It would have been cool to actually do this in a block palette that I didn't use for this. Maybe maybe I'll do that in another video or something. Now, as we get to this point, I start to feel like it's a bit too much. So I need to blend out this outer last layer with the concrete powder. So I'll do stuff like this where it's not entirely connected, but there we go. Now let's figure out, in fact, let's also how do I do this here? I think I'll go there. Right. And then corners as well is another place where I would put some weathering. So now I'm going to do the platform. Same concept where there's weathering on another piece of the build. I meet it on here. And now because we're touching this, let's go like that. Let's swap that out. And then I guess this might end up being, when we get to carrying this up here, that might end up being weathered. And then, just for the hell of it, let's do an extra one. Let's go to the stone. So I've got light grey concrete here. Let's do some highlights on this bit maybe. And then make that. There. I didn't do too much of that. I don't think I like to do baked in lighting necessarily. I have done it in the past. And in fact, if I was to do this properly, in fact, yeah, let's undo that. The way I've done this in the past is there's a window here. If the lights are on, maybe there'd be, we'll go like that to make it look like there's light emitting from the window. Let's sell the effect a bit more. Right, especially at night, that looks cool. So we're at the mossy cobble stage. Oh, let's go in with some of this. Also, got to account for it in the interior. So I'm going to go like this, maybe like that, or like that. That makes more sense. Now we've run up against this, so I might just leave that there. Maybe we've got a bit more mossy stuff down here. Maybe we'll go like that. And then at some point, we come in with this to kind of sell the effect. Maybe we want to see the moss back there. Right? Maybe we do a bit of that first. And then maybe we do, whoops. maybe we come in under here and stick one of those in. And then we got particle effects as well. Okay. Then let's go back to this. We've got weathering here. So now we carry it over like this. And then we've got a corner. So we put some in there. And then let's go back up here. Let's maybe go just to diorite. And thankfully I'm in creative, so I don't have to worry about hanging concrete right now. But that's why I have string here. So I could do that if I needed to. Stuff like this. And now we've run into the other problem where we've got, it's too small to do too much of the gradient. But let's just do it anyway. That'll do. Then we've got to carry it through onto the white bit. There we go. And now we've got the copper. Copper's one of my favorite things for this because it's built in that you can show the age of something with these blocks, right? So let's go kind of like that. This is the weathered bit, so we'll go in here and then we'll kind of tease it out. A corner might be more susceptible to weathering maybe, so maybe we go back. Oh, let's grab some of these. Maybe we go back to this color. And so on. Oh, I just remembered. I've got this bit on the side. So this, it's too dense. It's too dense a place to do this in. So if we go around here, I did prepare this to kind of do it a bit more spread out. We can even, let's even go with some moss and tease it out a bit more. Whoops. There we go. And then to sell the effect even more, go in some grass. All right, so hopefully that was useful. I think it's time to go back to the main server and put some of this into practice and get the new build done. So I'll see you when we've done that. Okay guys, we are back in my base again. Build is done, but I just want to recall what my starter base looked like. Because the idea with the new build is that it was another one of these drop pod little outpost buildings that's deployed itself. And in keeping with me deciding to build at GRC early in the season, but then immediately abandoning that and going down to here, half the server away from everyone else, to start on this basically, and this. Yeah, the new build stayed abandoned and has just kind of kept running by itself in the time that I've not been there. Apologies for all the cats and animal sounds. So, a couple of details I want to draw your attention to before we go look at the new build. First is the copper. This isn't a new deployment of one of these drop pods, right? I only just arrived here in this thing, kind of lore-wise, at the start of the season. So copper, we've got this thing, which is meant to open up and be like an extra little shelter. Maybe you can do some work under here and be sheltered from the elements or whatever. Got this plant. That's going to be important. And we've got... what else? Oh, this. This isn't part of the kind of canon of the build, I guess. This is just me fitting storage in here as much as I could. But this room in the new build has purpose. Also, this whole bit kind of stays the same, minus all the gifts that Fizzy gave me. The roof will be slightly different, because it's a slightly different purpose of the new build. But let's go compare, shall we? Okay, so we are in Gurk. And yeah, I guess this is what it would have been like if I did build my starter base here initially. So we've got some extra stuff. I don't know if this stuff has made it into the time lapses, because I've had issues with armor stand stuff showing up. Or rather, the armor stands that I've made invisible showing up in time lapses. So we'll have a closer look at that as well in a second. But here's the base. Here's the little mini starter base thing. So quite different, right? I've tried to do some of those things we just talked about in my creative world, applying the passage of time to this thing. So first off, copper. Bits that are actually copper have aged. Bits that are just copper colored have kind of stayed the same. Right. Maybe this was paint. If there was a way I could kind of have half of the sign chipped off to make it look like the paint's just peeled away, that would have been really cool, but there's that. What else have we got? The plant inside has died and it's just sticks now, right? I've replaced what was another painting here to kind of look like a screen, and then this is like a laptop keypad. I replaced with a shield with a black banner on it to make it look like a screen that's been turned off. I've taken what was a stair block as a chair and had it kind of tipped over, put it on an armor stand. The bed meant to be orange, but I made it grey because it's just filthy, because this has been left open to the elements, so it's just got dirty over time. Likewise, there's pale moss in here to make it look like there's just stuff has grown in here and it's got dirty and whatever. This is the wrong thing. This has got to be... I want this to be... Come on. There we go. I wanted that, basically. That's interesting. I didn't know that happened. That's a bit weird. The bookshelves are empty. Just wanted that to be... like maybe someone's been by and like picked it clean of what might have been useful. Then out here we had the plant in the composter as a plant pot, which over however many decades this must have been left alone, has now, it tipped over this, it grew out of it and sprouted into a tree, which with the thing open, this little awning thing where the copper here is also weathered, the tree is punched through the top. And this was inspired by my my base last season, where I had the tree that burst through the top of the greenhouse. I wanted to do that again. So we've got that. We've got leaf litter all over the place, partly to help blend the dirt into the surrounding grass. Partly because there's a tree here this has just been left abandoned for so long. Plenty grass, right? Also placed in front of the points of getting in, right? This where a person would have stayed. It's all just overgrown. No one's going in here anymore, so the grass has been able to grow up in front of the little staircase. I've added some extra wear and tear to the build here. I've not done that very often because it's just the build's too small. It would get overpowered. Couple of changes. This one has this big antenna on the back, which we'll get to in a minute. It's also would function as a lightning rod, so it's weathered at the bottom, but maybe it's been struck a couple of times and it's clean at the top. Then we come to this section in the back, which I like how I've pulled this off. We do have a bit of moss up here though, where the tree is connected to the building. So there is some of the, maybe a branch grew into here. Got leaves in here, which have all fallen on the floor. We've got this sort of, I don't know, power generation thing, which, if we look at the roof, has an exhaust thing at the top. All weathered. And then otherwise, this is the other stuff that was normally on top of the roof anyway. So we've got some just generic machinery looking stuff, I guess. Got this pipe going up here, which then connects to whatever. But on this side, we've got this little, what I'm thinking of as a charging station. So there's this like connector here, which will connect to a little robot friend we got out the back. And this antenna thing is kind of the command beacon for our little helpers out here. So one of the things, whenever I've talked to Chesby about me having not decided to build here in the end and moving straight to my base, it's always brought up that even your wheat field is still here, remains untouched. It has now been touched. We'll get to that. But I figured maybe that's what maybe was the kind of lasting impression of me having not built here and just abandoned this place, is whatever infrastructure, minimal as it was set up to harvest this wheat and make it kind of be self-sufficient here in this little drop pod thing. Maybe that's just been running all this time and it's just been left to its own devices. So we've got little robot helpers who are kind of just, these guys have frozen in place and they're kind of tragically just not performing their duties anymore. But we have this little droid thing here, which also has its little antenna. This thing would have just been spitting out hay bales over time. Right, it's not a big wheat field, so maybe this is indicative of what it managed to do. However long ago it stopped functioning. But we've got that. But the little guys would throw the wheat in, and it would spit out some hay bales. Let me just sleep. And then as we go down towards the actual wheat field, tiny little wheat field, I was inspired by Maddie asking me to do arm stand stuff. So I made a little droid, little Wall-E style thing. That's just, this guy still works because he can go in the charge station, right? That's what it was for. So every day he just comes out, harvests a couple of bits of wheat, and then they just stay on the floor until they despawn because these guys are frozen, and now they just don't do anything. Or maybe they're just really slow now. Maybe so that's why this guy's still grabbing stuff. Got this little guy. This looked way better in my head, but I still like it. It's kind of. I had the idea to put some spy glasses for his eyes, just to make it slightly more expressive than an observer. Just the little face you get on an observer. Yeah. Anyway, that's what this guy's been up to. He comes out during the day down his little ramp, and then returns here at night to charge up, and then just goes back to it again the next day, trying to do his duty for a person who doesn't live here anymore. So that is today's build, and some extra armor stand stuff. I really quite like this, actually. I think throw on some shaders. That's pretty cool. The shadow of the happy cast playing across it. It's almost like does anyone know of any shaders where the sun is blocked by the clouds? I feel like I don't play a lot with shaders on because my PC kind of, as you can tell, gets a bit too stuttery and it's annoying. Are there shaders where the sun gets covered by the clouds? I don't think I've ever seen that. If anyone knows, please let me know. Because seeing the happy cast up there, casting a kind of moving shadow, is making me want that. That'd be really cool for some like cinematic shots and stuff. But yeah, that's the build done. And I don't know, I had a bit of fun with this, doing a different spin on one of my previous builds. Let me know what you think. Yeah, I guess I abandoned my base to move back to Girk just as everyone else has moved out. So maybe next episode we'll be back in the main base with some more progress. So yeah, guys, that's going to be it for this one. Hopefully some of this stuff was valuable for people, anyone that was interested in how I go about building stuff. Thanks again to Ernie77 for the comment. Hopefully this answered some questions and helped a bit. I appreciate the comment. So I won't do this often, but I did recently launch channel memberships. If you're interested, my previous video goes into more detail. Otherwise, guys, that's going to be it for this one. If you wouldn't mind helping me out, maybe you could hit like on the video. If you want to follow what I do here or on my solo world or whatever I'm doing on stream these days, maybe you could hit subscribe as well. And don't forget to check the description. Everyone else on the server is linked down below. And yeah, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.